Wikidocs, a very simple wiki engine, databaseless, that support Markdown syntax. Today I will show you the current status of this web application, which has finally reached version 1.0. I will share you some statistics, and if you want, you will also discover how you can contribute to this small open source project. Hi devs, and welcome to this new video. Today, as anticipated in the preview, I wanted to introduce you to this little open source project that is gaining more and more attention over time. But let's start from the basics. I am Manuel Zavatta, an Italian software developer and content creator with a great passion for technology and pop culture. For over 2 years on this YouTube channel dedicated to developers, I try to bring my experience with opinions, review, tutorial and how-to about the programming world. And finally, Wikidocs is one of my main open source side projects. But let's get back to focus. What is Wikidocs? A few years ago, I needed to create a sort of knowledge base in which to insert various procedures and operating practice and share them with my colleagues. The first thing that came in my mind was to use a wiki style system, and the first requirement was that it could be hosted on a private server. So I tried to install 2 of open source wikis, from the more classic media wiki to the perhaps lesser known docu wiki. But either they were packed with a lot of unnecessary features for the purpose I had in my mind, or they were complicated to manage in terms of installings, backup and so on, or they had a very retro style. So it was born the idea to create my own little wiki that reflected the 4 key features I need at that time. That it had a what you see is what you get editor, that made it easy to attach images, that it can manage content reviews, and that it can save everything into simple flat file. This is how Wikidocs was born. I cracked my knuckles and I started to write some code. As with many of my side projects with rather bizarre and questionable names, I always create a repository for this web application on my GitHub profile, so that I can work on it more comfortably. And after some times, in a completely inexplicable way, I started to notice a growing interest in this repository. I started to see the first stars and the first fork appear. I received some pull requests from a couple of developers, who I thanks again very much, with translation in various languages and some bug fix. And I realized that this wiki had some potential, so I drew up a roadmap, and after almost a year, I finally released the faithful version 1.0. I registered the wikidocs.it website, set up a demo so people could try it without having to install it, and we developed a Docker images that make deployment even easy and faster. But without further ado, let me show you the Wikidocs website and its demo. This is the Wikidocs website, and obviously created with the same engine. On the left you have the possibility to search in all documents in the wiki, and there is a menu with all contents, including a page with all the supported syntax, from the classic Markdown commands to LaTeX and various extensions. A short documentation on how to install and configure it manually or via Docker, the list of the features present in the current version, an Hall of Fame of all those who contributed to this project, and of course the link and the password to access the demo, where we can press on the padlock and enter the password to test it. Through this button we can access the setting to customize our instance, and through this button we can create new pages. The engine will dynamically create the menu based on the tree structure of our documents. Each page is editable via this button, which will give us access to the "what you see is what you get" editor. Also have the ability to manage images, attachments, and the revision of the documents. But if I've piqued your curiosity enough, come and try it yourself, it's better. Thanks to this website and online demo that give Wikidocs a more professional look, the interest in this project continued to grow, and through Google Analytics I started to see that the site was getting thousands of views from all over the world, and every month a new pull request with a new language translation was arriving. In addition to the website, the repository is also having great success. At this moment on GitHub we have exceeded 250 stars. Dozens of collaborators from various countries are active, and through Docker Hub we have almost reached 30,000 downloads. So, driven by the fact that for once one of my repositories was having some success, and partially due to personal ego and partially due to the classic imposter syndrome, I started to do some refactoring. Thanks also the other contributors, we are trying to make this project more amateur and more little professional. And since this YouTube channel is dedicated to developers, I want to share with you a fantastic opportunity. If you're interested in taking part in this open source project, I invite you to visit the repository linked below in the description, give it a star, fork it and start contributing with pull requests. Even if it's just a simple translation, some bug fix, some documentation, or whatever you feel capable of doing, know that it will be very welcome. If you have any ideas or suggestions, you can participate in the dedicated discussions, vote for the one you think are the most appropriate, and follow those that has been included in the milestone 1.1, which will be the next release with a lot of new features. And what else? I can only thank you for getting this far, and if you have any suggestion, you can leave me a comment below. Your feedback is very important for me. See you next time. Bye!